Hey there, van life enthusiasts, and welcome back to the channel. If you're anything like me, you'll know that keeping your vehicle in tip-top shape can be key to a smooth and stress-free journey. Today, we're checking out something that could stop that dream trip from turning into a nightmare trip. Plus, it could save you quite a bit of money, so keep watching. Don't forget to check out our other videos on everything campervan and motorhome related, from solar to water, heating to gadgets, tyres to trips. If you like this video, please do hit the thumbs up. It really does help me to know what you like, and you can ask any questions or give feedback in the comments. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of our future videos, please hit the subscribe button, and clicking the bell will give you a notification when a new video goes live. Finally, if you do decide to hit the thumbs down, it would be great if you could also leave a comment so I'd know what you didn't like. Whether you're a DIY mechanic or just someone who wants to avoid those unexpected breakdowns, this gadget promises to be the best friend on the road. The Kingbolen S600 is designed to help you diagnose issues, read error codes, monitor real-time data, and carry out electronic service tasks that could cost you hundreds from a dealer or garage. And if you are looking to purchase a new vehicle, it could save you thousands by helping to avoid picking up a lemon. So we'll put the Kingbolen S600 to the test, see how it performs, and find out if it's worth adding to your van life toolkit. So buckle up and let's get started. You may be like us and carry around something like this that can be picked up for up to £50, which allows you to read and reset OBD2 diagnostic codes from your vehicle. So you might be wondering what a diagnostic scanner does differently. Well, let's take a look. They'll both read OBD2 fault codes and allow you to reset these and read OBD2 live data. But where a diagnostic scanner steps up its game is that it can access the more in-depth and detailed fault codes and diagnostics that the manufacturers built into the vehicle, rather than just the standard OBD2 ones. This gives a much more in-depth view of the vehicle's health, and more in-depth live data gives you the ability to identify the true root cause of faults easier. Depending on the spec of the scanner, it may also allow you to carry out electronic service tasks that you would normally have to pay a garage or dealer to do for you. Kingbolen very kindly asked us to try out the S600 in comparison to the cheap OBD2 reader we'd used in the past, but we've not been paid for this video, and as always we'll share our actual experience using it to help you decide if it's something you would find useful. Looking at the specific features of the S600, we can see it should do everything our OBD2 code reader does, plus access the 4 main systems for diagnostics on over 75 manufacturers across the world. It also enables the 10 most common service actions to be completed for those manufacturers. It has lifetime updates over its built-in Wi-Fi and can produce health and fault reports, screenshots and screen recordings, plus the Wi-Fi can be used for online diagnostics. So let's get on and take a look at it. The main unit is exactly what you would expect, built like a tank, and I'd say it'd stand up to the rigours of professional daily use. It fits well in your hands, so you're unlikely to drop it, and is well protected. It comes with instructions, a diagnostics lead, and a USB-C lead for charging. Setup is dead easy, with the unit walking you through the setup of location, time zone and Wi-Fi, and then the unit does a first update to make sure it has the latest version of the app and all the protocols. In use you have two options. You can use the touchscreen or the buttons, which is great if you have dirty hands or are wearing gloves. The menu structure is simple and easy to understand, and really you can dive straight in without the manual, which is a great sign. So let's take a look at what it can do, starting with the basics, reading OBD2 codes. Once plugged in, the scanner automatically detects the right protocol and presents the findings in an easy to read format. We can see here there are no current or historic fault codes, but if there were, we could clear them and see if they reoccur or investigate further. Now, to really try it out, we're going to plug it into our Iveco Daily, which is notoriously hard to get a reader to work on. We need a non-standard adapter to start with, which we already had. The S600 took a little longer to find the right OBD2 protocol, but it connected successfully, and we could see if there are any faults and the live data. Now, where we're hoping to see more is in the manufacturer-specific diagnostics. As we mentioned earlier, this covers up to 4 key areas of the vehicle: engine, transmission, anti-lock braking system or ABS, and supplementary restraint system or SRS, which are things like airbags and seatbelt pretensioners. A great feature here is the auto scan, so rather than having to go through and find the manufacturer and the model and the year, it will scan for the VIN number. We'll talk more about the advantages of that later, and it'll auto detect the make and model. Once we've confirmed it's correct, we can simply hit Health Report and it will scan all the systems available to see how they're performing. Thankfully, we can see here we've got no faults on any of the 4 systems. If we go into one of the systems, we've picked the engine control module, we can hit Read Data Stream. Once the S600 has accessed them, we can see a mountain of data from all the manufacturer's sensors and historic information, all of which is helpful to diagnose any issues. Now, there's a mountain of information, but thankfully it is searchable. So say we wanted to check on the DPF of our vehicle, manufacturers call the data fields different things, so we're going to search for anything that mentions filter, DPF, diesel or particulate. We can then have a good look at the data to check the health of the DPF and how it's been regenerating. Now, all of that was on our 2018 Land Rover. Let's very quickly run through doing similar on a 2022 Ford. And as this is manual, there's no transmission system. This time let's look at the live data on what they call the restraint control module. Here's the same on a Fiat. For all 3 of these vehicles, it was a really simple and fast diagnostics process. Completing the health check every month means we'll see any issues as they arise, rather than waiting for the vehicle to be serviced months later, as not all faults result in an indicator on the dash. Now, I mentioned earlier that Iveco were a special breed when it comes to diagnostics, and sure enough, the auto search couldn't identify the VIN, make and model. But I could manually select Iveco as a manufacturer, and it gave me a list of the possible ECUs to connect to. Now, without digging into it, I don't know the model of the ECU, but I'm sure I could find it out by going under the bonnet. But I'll be totally honest, as our van is running perfectly at the moment, I don't want to risk causing a problem, so I'll wait until we need to do any diagnostics before trying to connect. With most modern vehicles, there's very little you can do without plugging them in, from changing brake discs or batteries to resetting the tyre pressure monitoring, even changing the oil. But with the S600 you can. The 10 electronic service tasks it can complete on most vehicles are oil and service counter reset, which we'll show in a minute, brake reset and automatic parking brake control, steering angle settings, electronic throttle setting, tyre pressure monitoring setting, diesel particulate filter reset and forced regeneration, ABS brake bleeding, battery BMS reset, injector reset and adaptive forward lighting reset. Conveniently, our Land Rover was due an oil change and service, so once this was completed I could show the counter being reset using this S600. Here you can see before. The S600 steps you through the process, making sure you know what you are resetting. Starting with the oil dilution and then the service message. Now we can see the oil dilution, time and distance to next service have been reset. And here we can see that this is reflected in the car itself. Another time that diagnostics are key and could literally save you thousands of pounds after buying a bit of a lemon is when you're buying a used vehicle. Now if you don't know a little about what you're doing, a professional check would be advisable, but if you do, there's lots of things the S600 can help check to reduce that risk. Starting with checking the vehicle's identity. With the S600 you can check that the VIN numbers stored in the ECU match the ones in the windscreen, in the floor pan and on the documents, reducing your risk of buying a stolen vehicle. Being able to run a health check on the vehicle's systems will show if there are any current faults to be aware of. You can also get the S600 to get confidence in the mileage shown on the vehicle. The ECU also stores the mileage. There can be a small difference as there is in this example, but we can also see that it looks like this car has had a new ECU, as the total distance travelled in the ECU is lower than the displayed miles, so we may want to ask about that. Now, as we showed earlier, you can reset the OBD2 fault codes. So what if the seller has done this to hide a fault? Well, we can get an indication if they have by checking the IM readiness status. This is a monitoring system built into the vehicle to check emissions, and they are reset when the fault codes are reset. So if you see a low number of readiness complete and a high number of not complete, it's a good indication that someone has been resetting faults and the vehicle has not been driven enough yet for the emissions test to complete. On some vehicles it's also possible to see the mileage it's been driven since the codes were reset and how many miles it's been driven with the MIL or multifunction indicator light, also often called the engine management light, lit. So in this case we can see it's 24,147 miles, which also helps to corroborate the mileage that we've seen on the vehicle. If the vehicle is diesel, a good thing to get an idea of is how the diesel particulate filter has been performing, as these can cause issues. So an indication that it's regularly regenerating and that the diesel particulate filter isn't full. If it shows as full, you may want to ask the seller to take the vehicle for a drive to show that it regenerates. This process can be monitored by the S600 while you are driving. For petrol engines, having a look at the long-term fuel trim can be an indicator of issues. In simple terms, this shows if the ECU is compensating for problems in the engine by drastically altering the fuel mixture. If you see long-term trim nearing -25% or +25%, it could be an indication of a problem. If the manufacturer includes it in their diagnostics info, and many do, you can view how long the engine has run for and how long it's been at idle. You can use this along with the mileage in the ECU to calculate the average speed the car has been driven, giving you an idea how it's been used and if it's been left at idle for long periods. Now, it isn't unusual to see some minor fault codes when you check a vehicle that won't cause the engine management light to come on. If there are, you can discuss these with the seller, or you may want to ask if you can reset them before you take the vehicle on a test drive to see if the faults reoccur. Finally, there are a few other features of the S600 to remember. Its lifetime free updates mean it's always up to date, and these are easy to complete using the built-in Wi-Fi. There's no messing around with cables and computers or data cards. When you're using the device and it's connected to Wi-Fi, you can also use the web search for advice on any fault codes you see. For more professional settings, it can also generate and record health reports and fault reports that can be emailed or sent by Bluetooth. So overall, if you're keen to keep your vehicle in tip-top condition, want to save money by carrying out repairs or some servicing yourself, or want to reduce the risk of buying a lemon when you're running the gauntlet of buying a second-hand vehicle, the S600 is feature-packed at a very reasonable price. Plus, you can currently get a discount off using the code in the video description. Thanks for watching our video, and as always, if you have any questions or feedback, please pop them in the comments below. If you find the video useful, please like, share and consider subscribing.